Positioning. This is arguably one of the most important aspects of any fighting game. In fact, it's so important that it usually dictates the way that you decide to interact with your opponent and with the game. Simply put, you wouldn't even think of punching somebody who's 10 feet away from you, unless of course you had stretchy arms. Therefore, much like the games it aims to emulate, BattleCON makes positioning the most important thing in the game. And therefore, that brings to mind the question, what is good positioning? I'm Marco DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Critic, and welcome to this episode of BattleTIPS. Now, as with anything in BattleCON, context matters. Certain positions may or may not be useful depending on your opponent's options and your character's capabilities. However, based on so many games of BattleCON, many players have figured out 3 unique positions that confer a significant advantage to a specific player. And moving to those positions often leads to very big payouts that allow you to swing the game into your favor. These positions are the center, cornering, and being cornered. Let's start off with the center. The center of the board is a unique position as it allows you to essentially, quote-unquote, bisect the board. Due to the fact that you are in the center of the board, at most there can only be a maximum of 2 spaces between you and your opponent. And this means that no matter how much your opponent moves, the maximum distance they can be from you is 3. Now, this means that any attack that you play with a range of 1 to 3 will hit your opponent. And many popular and good attack pairs often have this range. Anything that is a drive or shot will guaranteed hit your opponent so long as they don't do anything crazy. This is a powerful position to be in, as in BattleCON the ability to guarantee a hit is quite useful, forcing the opponent to do something else. This is quite useful against highly mobile characters or long-ranged fighters who tend to favor big ranges.
Take this!
System overload! What?
Next up is cornering. Cornering is a concept that's very familiar to many people who have played fighting games. Often this means that your opponent has their backs against the wall and have very limited ability to maneuver. In BattleCON, this means that their burst is now completely useless because not only can they not retreat, they also can't even hit you with their burst. This heavily limits your opponent's options, either forcing them to risky dodge out of the corner or just trade with you. And if you're a very powerful fighter, this can be very dangerous for the opponent. This means that you can play range 1 attacks that are usually highly unsafe and inconsistent, but due to the corner, become super consistent. This board position is quite useful if you're a character with low hit confirm, such as many juggernauts and heavy characters. And finally, being cornered? This might sound odd, but the person who is cornered actually gains a significant benefit as well. In this position, your opponent cannot dodge over you using the dodge base, as it usually requires them to switch sides with you. Since your back is against the corner, they can no longer do this, and must now retreat in order to evade the attack with the dodge base. However, shot has a range of 1 to 4, whereas dodge can only retreat up to 3 spaces. This means that no matter how your opponent uses dodge, they will be in the effective range of shot. This pressures your opponent into not using their dodge base, effectively letting you guarantee a hit, and it can work for almost any character who has a threatening attack with at least range 1 to 4. It's also very good at closing games, as opponents can no longer use dodge in order to delay the game and hopefully get their powerful bases back. If you execute them by getting into this range and just playing a shot, it often results in a victory. There are many board positions in the game, it's just that these three tend to come up the most often, and often confer the most benefits to the people who get into said positions. So, whenever you're using a movement effect or have the ability to move around the board, consider whether or not you can get into one of these three situations, and see whether or not the advantages they confer to you allow you to win the next beat. You may just find yourself winning more games of BattleCON. And that pretty much does it for this episode of Battle Tips. I'm experimenting with the format of this show a little bit. I hope this appeals to all of you, and if it does, please leave us a like and give us a comment. Without much else to say, don't forget your special action, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night.